Welcome to the Heal Create podcast. You know me. I'm Courtney. I was laughing listening to the episode that I put out last week where I had an interview with Seth Porges, who's amazing, and he's the co-author of the book Our Polyvagal World, which, side note, you should read that book at least. You can listen to the episode. He talks about polyvagal theory, which again, I think is essential for every creative to understand. But what was funny is that I don't know Seth Porges at all. Most of the guests that I have on, I kind of know. I have some kind of, personal relationship with. And so we can be in a conversation with some friendliness between us. But you could tell that I didn't know him at all because I was a little nervous. I think I started out the episode like, hello, everyone. This is Courtney Lancaster, and as if you guys don't know my first and last name. Anyways, today I wanted to talk to you guys about a song that I have out called Never Been. It released today, and I wanted to talk to you guys about the creative process around that song. And the reason why is because I have always known that I wanted to share every step of the way through my creative process. Inexplicably, I have always been obsessed with behind-the-scenes stories and documentaries and people who are highly successful and how they got there. And I don't know where this is going to all take me, where I'm going, but I do know that I have wanted to share every step of the way because I always think it's interesting to see the process behind what people create. But I also wanted to encourage anyone who might be starting from scratch like I did a few years back and who is just interested in what it takes, what happens when you're in the beginning stages and when you do move into learning your style and cultivating your skill and actually putting stuff out into the world, what that's actually like. Because being a beginner, a real true beginner, if you want to get into any creative field, is incredibly intimidating. At least it was for me. And I didn't know. I luckily had a couple friends that I could sort of pick their brain, but a lot of it was me just figuring things out as I went. And so that was one of the reasons why I really wanted to explain my process step by step. It will not be impressive to anyone who does this professionally, but it will hopefully encourage anyone who doesn't. So this song, Never Been, it came out of a songwriting session that I had with a friend. His name is Johnny Knox. He's an incredibly talented singer-songwriter. You can find him on Spotify. Honestly, he's so incredibly talented. I met him when I lived in Northern California in Redding, and we both happened to move to Orange County, kind of overlapping timelines. And so when I moved down here last year, I had asked if he would want to songwrite with me. And just to recap a little bit of background leading up to getting into these songwriting sessions. So I've talked about being a singer and a performer and a worship leader for 25 years. And then going through extreme depression and anxiety, and that really shutting down any creative or performative or anything like that endeavor that I was trying to go about because it would cause so much dysregulation in my nervous system. It was so hard for me to come back into singing after I had the really low years, the real rock bottoms of depression and anxiety. And I know now why that is, and it's what I help people walk through. But singing is my most authentic expression. It's my favorite expression, and it's, my true self. And when you go through depression and anxiety, remember that depression and anxiety are incredibly self-protective. That's their main function, is to protect you from feeling safe and feeling like you can step into a state of flow. They protect you from being seen if they sense that that's dangerous for you. If you ever got hurt when you were seen in the past or heard, or maybe you never felt like you were heard, or you were neglected. Well, anxiety and depression really can show up to help you stay small. And of course, we know they're incredibly uncomfortable and not helpful at all for you trying to step into expansion and your true self and your authenticity. But insecurity, anxiety, apathy, they're all actually really good at keeping you small. And so when we can understand that that's what's happening, then we can know that my own coach, Sarah Baldwin, always says the body is a show, not tell system. So we can't just tell ourselves, calm down. Oh my gosh, what the heck? Just go, do your thing, which is kind of, it sets you up for a lot of self-judgment when you can't do the thing. But we can show ourselves that we're safe. So for me, coming out of depression and anxiety, I had to very gently step back into singing and songwriting. And I would try and push too hard when in the beginning, a few years back, I would have songwriting sessions where I would sit down with people and I would totally freeze. Or I would, sign up to sing for something, or somebody would ask me to sing at an event and I would have so much panic ahead of time. And that just kind of reinforced to my nervous system and to my body that like singing is dangerous. She really can't handle this. So I had to gently, very, very gently, very softly kind of step back into that. And that looked like me just finishing songs by myself, or I went to like a songwriting retreat, which is a really gentle space. I mean, it can be really intense, but you're surrounded by people that are kind of in the same boat. Or I just began playing songs just for friends. And then I began posting little things online. And then I would, try and step into more and more songwriting sessions and get myself used to the feeling of feeling vulnerable enough to write songs with other people. So by the time I moved last year to Orange County and I was more comfortable with songwriting and singing, Johnny Knox was one of the people that I would songwrite with. And he lived a little while away, so we would just go to his studio and write, just kind of see what was fresh. So we wrote a song called Say What You Want to Say. I think I've talked about that song, but that's on Spotify. So we had already written and finished a song with our friend Taylor Armstrong, who's also incredibly talented. You can look him up. But basically we sat down and Johnny and I were writing a song that neither of us really could relate to, but it had such a good hook that we wanted to finish it. But we ended up getting to a point where there was just no connection to the message of the song. I think it was like a sassy, like kind of breakup-y song. I've never had a sassy breakup, and Johnny doesn't like to write breakup songs. And so we scrapped it and we started from absolute scratch. This song that we ended up writing came from an idea that Johnny had where he's like, hey, let's write a ballad. And he had this piano progression, which you can hear right when you turn the song on. It's so dreamy. It's so good. And then he just came up with the line, take me to a place where I've never been before. And I fell in love with the line. I fell in love with the piano progression and the way that he played it. And something that I have to do with songwriting sometimes is I can co-write, and we can sit and we can co-write things. And we wrote the first verse and the chorus together. And then my best songwriting, you guys, comes from when I'm driving alone, driving up and down the PCH now. Writing songs. When I was in Reading, it was like driving the back roads of Reading. Now I just play with lyrics and ideas while I'm driving, and I could absolutely relate to this song. I mean, just my husband and I will be married 20 years, and we've gone through, a lot of counseling and just so many beautiful highs and ups and downs, and have just gotten to this place really where of just feeling so settled with each other and sure of the direction that we want to go, and even just understanding the kind of relationship that we want to have, and the surrender and the connection and the safety. So that was what I wrote the second verse about. Because we got married when we were 20, I think the verse starts out with like, we were too young to know lies from truth, choices made in the light of youth, because we did make the choice to marry each other when we were children. Chances where we'd fall apart, because marriages that start that young usually don't succeed. Well, we did, but enough to know who we are. So we did, like every marriage that I know. I mean, every good marriage that I know hit a breaking point. And walking through that was really like us beginning our second marriage. I don't know if you guys have ever heard, there's this phrase or this saying, some famous marriage like therapist said it, but basically most people have 2 or 3 marriages in their lifetime. If you're lucky, it's with the same person. And James and I would say, like, in the last couple of years that we started our second marriage, where it really does feel like we are kind of these new versions of ourselves, and things are just so much lighter and so much easier and so much more fun. And so this song was really just about all of that, everything that we've learned, all the goodness that we've accumulated walking through dark things. And I think the tone of the song really points to that. And the lyrics just talk about the surrender of like just letting James in my marriage and my relationship lead me in ways that I've been really self-sufficient and self-led. The joy of like really trusting someone enough to say like, I don't know, you pick, where are we going to go? So that's what this song was about. And it came together in 3 songwriting sessions. I think it was like 3, hour and a half songwriting sessions. We like mapped everything out, and we knew immediately that we created a demo in those 3 sessions, which is just like a really basic rough cut of the song, kind of for placeholding where everything goes in the arrangement. And then we took it to our friend Taylor again, and Taylor produced it in this really old church in Encinitas. And you can hear the piano is like an antique old piano, which I love. I love the sound of that. And we recorded it all in one day. And it was such a fun, embodied experience. I remember that day because anytime I have just one of these kind of like peak creative experiences, I always feel so grateful for how far I've come. I also feel really hopeful for how far the human being can come. I know that sounds kind of grand, but it really is true that you do think when you're in dark places that you'll never be happy again, that you might never feel safe again, that you'll always be depressed or you'll always be anxious. And the more that I heal and I have these experiences where I feel fully present and fully embodied and fully alive, I just feel so hopeful for the human being that's walking through suffering, knowing that things really do get to become more and more beautiful. The more healing that you experience, the more self-compassion that you experience. Every human that has the privilege to heal has the responsibility to do so. But when you do, you really do feel so alive. And it's hard for that not to be contagious. And that day was one of those days that I really just felt so alive. It was just so much fun to record. So that's my story with that. I still am learning so much, just even about posting and preparing for a song launch. I feel like these are all just really soft launches of songs that I'm doing. And every single song that I do is different from the last song, which tells you that even though I'm going to be 40, I am in the self-exploration phase of being an artist, which is everything that I've read and learned and gleaned from other people is a really important part of discovering who you are as an artist, is figuring out your style and trying different things and seeing what fits. And so that's the stage that I'm in right now. So you can tell this song sounds different than the other songs that I've done, but it's no less one of my favorites and something that I'm really proud of. So anyways, I hope that you guys enjoy this recap and this little explanation of what the process was for me to write this song. I have a bunch of other songs coming out too as well, actually. And it just feels like such a gift and a joy to be able to do this. So I really want to encourage you that if you are struggling or you feel like you're on the outside or you have this secret dream of creating beautiful things with either your life or your art, if you want to, you can. You absolutely can. And it might feel like you have to take slow steps forward, but you will get there. I promise. So I hope that you guys have a really beautiful day, and I will see you next week.
Crown beneath is falling leaves. Rain is lifted finally. I can tell by the birds and the song they sing. The worst is over, you're looking at me. If your love is all I know, heaven surely show me the best that it could be. We ask, where could this love go? Baby, I don't know, but I trust where you might lead. So take me to a place where I've never been before. Too young to know lies from truth. Choices made in the light of youth. Chances where we fall apart. Well, we did, but enough to know who we are. take me to a place where I've never been, where I've never been before. Where I've never been before. Where I've never been before. If your love is all I know, heaven surely assured me the best that it could be. We ask, where could this love go? Baby, I don't know, but I trust where you might lead. So take me to a place where I've never been before.